Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about something we all do, but rarely admit. By the one with ourselves. Feel the social that you would not. The most important connection we have, the one with ourselves. In the fast-paced rhythm of modern life, many people take pride in being perpetually busy. Our days are filled with endless to-do lists, back-to-back meetings, and the constant buzz of smartphones keeping us tethered to the world around us. But beneath this surface-level productivity lies a deeper, often unspoken truth. Many of us are not just busy. We are deliberately avoiding stillness. We stay in motion not just to accomplish. This avoidance can take many forms. For some, it's overworking themselves into exhaustion. For others, it's constantly scrolling through social media or binge watching content to fill the silence. We even fill our weekends with social events or errands just to keep the quiet moments at bay. We become so attuned to the outside world, its demands. Avoiding ourselves this way may work temporarily, but over time it takes a toll. The inner discomfort doesn't go away, it simply waits. Emotions that aren't acknowledged don't dissolve, they compound. Guilt, grief, fear, and insecurity settle in the corners of our minds, quietly influencing our choices and reactions. We might find ourselves feeling restless, anxious, or unfulfilled, but we can't quite figure out why. The truth is, more than anything, constantly running from ourselves keeps us from healing. It keeps us from making peace with our past, discovering our passions, and recognizing our purpose. When we avoid reflection, we avoid growth. Instead of becoming wiser through experience, we repeat the same cycles, unaware of how our unexamined emotions steer our lives. The moment we stop distracting ourselves and dare to sit in silence, we begin to reconnect with who we are beneath the surface. And though running away from yourself is not always a physical act, often it is emotional and internal. It is the deliberate decision, whether conscious or not, to avoid self-reflection and suppress difficult emotions. When we choose not to confront our inner world, we are not just avoiding pain, we are avoiding clarity. Many people carry regrets from their past, traumas left unprocessed, or dreams they buried out of fear. These parts of our emotional history the fear of facing our inner selves is rooted in the discomfort it brings. It's not easy to revisit moments where we failed, hurt someone, or allowed ourselves to be hurt. It's difficult to admit that we made mistakes, took wrong turns, or let fear stop us from chasing our dreams. Yet these admissions are essential to healing. Unfortunately, many people equate vulnerability with weakness and prefer to maintain an image of strength rather than confront their emotional wounds. This emotional evasion Additionally, we often lie to ourselves about what we truly want in life because acknowledging our desires forces us to confront what we've been denying. We might settle for mediocrity, for comfort, for what's familiar, not because it's what we truly want, but because we are afraid of change. Wanting more means risking failure. It means being honest about the parts of our lives that aren't fulfilling and being brave enough to pursue something better. So instead of asking ourselves the hard questions, ultimately, this emotional avoidance doesn't liberate us. It traps us in a life half lived. We can only begin to transform when we acknowledge what we feel, what we regret, and what we truly desire. That requires courage, but it also requires stillness and space. True self-growth begins when we stop fearing our own emotions and start embracing them as necessary teachers. Pain, regret, and longing all exist for a reason. They point us toward what needs to change and what matters most. Avoid In today's hyper-connected and fast-moving world, distractions are everywhere, and they often appear harmless or even productive on the surface. Workaholism, for instance, is frequently praised as ambition, while hours spent scrolling through social media are normalized as casual relaxation. However, these distractions can quietly transform into emotional escapes. Rather than facing uncomfortable feelings or reflecting on our internal state, we dive headfirst into busyness or digital noise. These human mind naturally seeks comfort. And when faced with stress, guilt, anxiety, or sadness, it craves relief. Instead of confronting the source of those emotions, many turn to instant gratification, endless entertainment, unhealthy eating, addictive substances, or even toxic relationships. These habits offer a temporary numbing effect, but they also deepen the divide between who we are and who we are becoming. Emotional escape becomes a default pattern. Because we become live more reactivity, guided by Him. What makes this escape so subtle and dangerous is that it often masquerades as productivity or social connection. Checking emails late at night can feel like dedication. Binge watching a show can feel like deserved rest. But when these activities constitutively replace solitude and reflection, they begin to erode our ability to be present and self-worthy. We lose track of our emotions, our dreams, and even our values, drowning in a sea of mindless engagement. The external world becomes accountability also suffers in this process. David saw him also suffers in this process. We simply cover them up. But unaddressed issues don't stay buried forever. They reemerge in the form of burnout, emotional outburst, or deep-seated dissatisfaction. If separate individuals are in demosie, Afri Singne Majahar Rendeil Meheda El Hashiluhet, to stop running from ourselves, we must become aware of how we use distractions and emotions, no matter how deeply buried, have a way of resurfacing. Many people believe that by ignoring their pain or pushing it aside, they can leave it behind for good. But emotions are not temporary visitors that vanish when neglected. They are energy held within the body and mind. When we experience trauma, heartbreak, betrayal, or disappointment, and fail to process those feelings, they do not simply dissolve with time. Instead, they settle quietly. The moments we find ourselves alone, free from the distractions of daily life, are often when these unhealed wounds start to rise to the surface. Solitude has a unique power to strip away external noise and reveal what has long been hidden. For some, this silence is peaceful. For others, it is terrifying because it uncovers the thoughts and emotions we've spent years running from. A wave of sadness may emerge without clear cause, or a forgotten memory might suddenly feel sharp and fresh. These experiences are not random. Ignoring these feelings does not protect us from pain, it prolongs our suffering. Suppressed emotions often manifest in unexpected forms: anxiety, anger, emotional numbness, or even physical illness. Relationships suffer when we carry unresolved baggage, as we project past wounds onto present circumstances. We may find ourselves overreacting to small triggers or withdrawing emotionally without understanding why. The truth is, the longer we avoid healing, the more these unhealed parts of us control our lives. The journey toward healing begins when we stop denying the existence of our pain and instead choose to face it with courage and compassion. Acknowledging our wounds doesn't mean dwelling in them, it means recognizing their presence, understanding their origin, and gently beginning the process of letting go. This process may be slow and uncomfortable, but it is deeply necessary. Only when we sit with our emotions, listen to them, and allow ourselves to feel them fully, can we start to heal. Through this healing, we not only self-reflection is one of the most powerful tools for transformation, yet it is often avoided because of the discomfort it brings. To reflect on oneself is to turn inward and observe not just our successes and strengths, but also our flaws, mistakes, and the aspects of our character that we're not proud of. This process requires brutal honesty and vulnerability, two things that can be incredibly difficult to embrace. Many people fear what they might discover if they look too closely. They fear admitting that they've been wrong. The pain that arises from reflection is not without purpose. It is the discomfort of realization. The moment we see that our actions have not aligned with our values, or that we've settled for less than we deserve, these realizations can sting, but they are essential. They serve as the mirror through which we see where we've gone off course and how we can return to a path that feels right and true. Reflection forces us to pause, evaluate, and become aware of patterns we may Through this process, healing begins to unfold. Once we become aware of our internal wounds or self-sabotaging behaviors, we can begin to gently address them. We can ask ourselves difficult but necessary questions. Why do I react this way? What am I truly afraid of? What belief have I carried that no longer serves me? These questions peel back the layers of conditioning and reveal the deeper truths that often guide our choices. In doing so, we create space to forgive, not only others, but also ourselves. Ultimately, self-reflection opens the door to intentional living. It shifts us from being reactive to being responsive, from living automatically to living with awareness. Personal growth is not about becoming someone else, it's about returning to who we truly are, underneath the fear, the pain, and the masks we wear. And this journey begins not with grand gestures, but with quiet, consistent moments of self-inquiry. It is in those moments that we uncover our potential, reclaim our worth, Facing your inner self is a transformative act that requires courage, patience, and honesty. It is about sitting with your thoughts, confronting your fears, and peeling away the layers of identity that were shaped by external forces. From a young age, we are taught how to behave, what to strive for, and what success should look like, often according to the standards of society, family, or culture. Over time, we internalize these messages, believing they reflect who we are. But the more we conform to others' expectations, the more we lose sight of our true selves. This process of self-confrontation may feel intimidating because it demands that we let go of the personas we've carefully crafted to please others. We may realize that the job we pursued isn't fulfilling, that the relationships we maintain are draining, or that the goals we chase were never really ours to begin with. These revelations can be unsettling, but they also offer a rare chance to start anew on our own terms the moment we stop living for approval and start living for alignment. Empowerment emerges when we reclaim ownership of our lives through the self-centeredness. Once we understand our values, desires, and boundaries, we can begin to make decisions that truly reflect who we are. No longer swayed by the trends of the world or the expectations of others, we start choosing paths that nourish us, challenge us, and resonate deeply with our sense of purpose. Authenticity becomes our compass, and we no longer breaking free from societal expectations doesn't mean rejecting society altogether. It means engaging with it from a place of integrity and self-possession. It allows us to contribute to the world, not through imitation, but through originality. When we are connected to our inner selves, we inspire others to do the same. Our presence becomes more impactful, our relationships more meaningful, and our lives more purposeful. This is the true power that comes from facing ourselves, the ability to move through the world True peace is not found in perfection or in the elimination of struggle. It is found in acceptance. When we learn to embrace our flaws, we begin to understand that being human means being imperfect. Every mistake we've made, every weakness we carry, and every insecurity we feel is part of our story. These are not marks of failure, but symbols of experience. Unfortunately, many people chase an idealized version of themselves, believing peace lies in being flawless or constantly in control. But that pursuit Healing from within requires a willingness to explore the parts of ourselves we've long ignored or buried. It's a journey that demands emotional courage, the kind that allows us to sit with our pain, understand our triggers, and forgive our past. This healing doesn't come through avoidance or denial. It emerges through acknowledgement and processing. When we face our wounds and allow ourselves to feel, we remove the internal blockages that keep us stuck. With every layer we peel back, we make space for clarity, strength. Equally important is the alignment of our actions with our values. Many people experience inner conflict because their daily choices do not reflect what they truly believe or desire. They may stay in jobs they hate, maintain relationships that are toxic, or live according to others' standards, all while neglecting their inner truth. This misalignment creates tension, a quiet but persistent discomfort that grows over time. When we begin to live in alignment, however, peace naturally follows. Running away may seem easier in the short term, but it only deepens the disconnection within. We often believe that if we change our environment, circumstances, or relationships, we'll find peace. But peace doesn't come from escape. It comes from facing ourselves, embracing the imperfect wholeness of who we are, and building a life that reflects our true values. Only then do we experience the kind of peace that isn't shaken by external chaos. It's a peace rooted in self understanding. So, if you've been running through distractions, through denial, through the noise of the world, it's time to pause, not to judge yourself, but to listen, not to fix everything at once, but to begin the journey back to yourself.